Hi guys, I'm Christy Bilbrey. I'm a marketing strategist and business story educator, and I'm really excited today to do things a little bit differently. And I get to interview Nicole Stone, who I think you guys are going to love hearing from. She's very inspiring and she has some great tips on how to monetize your blog. So those of you who are bloggers or want to start blogging and wondering, how the heck am I going to make money out of this? She is going to talk to you about that today. So let me tell you just a little bit about her. Nicole Stone is an atmospheric scientist turned blogger, pretty unique. During the last year, she was able to start a blog on her passions, which are hunting, fishing, and productivity. This hobby quickly turned profitable as she was able to pitch her content to companies who hired her to write. After a few months of juggling a full-time career, a side hustle, and even a master's degree, she decided she had to make a choice: make the side hustle a business or leave it. Long story short, she now spends her time blogging at nicolestone.com. I'm going to have the link to that below this video. And she shares her blogging and money-making strategies there. She also continues to work on her outdoor industry. She's on pro staff teams and writes for outdoor companies. So Nicole, thank you so much for joining. You have quite a wide range of interests and talents. So let's, I guess, first start with hunting and fishing. So I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. She's in North Dakota. So she is like lots of outdoor stuff going on where she is right now. And we actually met in a Facebook group, and I connected with her and just thought she had a really interesting story. I wanted to bring her on here for you guys to meet. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how this got started? You were working full-time at school, and you started this blog about hunting and fishing. How did things develop from there? What happened?
So I was originally working at a mesonet at a university where I worked with instrumentation and all that science stuff, but I actually really enjoyed writing on the side and the outdoor stuff. So when I wasn't working long hours on, my weather stuff, I was spending my time writing. And so what I ended up doing was started just writing a few articles in the outdoor about outdoor topics and the things I love. And that ended up actually leading to me getting some clients in the outdoor industry that I could write for some money. So that's kind of how that started.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and start there. So you're writing for outdoors companies. That can be really intimidating for a lot of people, I think, when you look at approaching brands and approaching companies. So if you maybe want to walk us through a little bit about that whole pitch process. What do you need to have in place, and what do you need to do in the pitch?
So when you start working or looking for freelance clients that you'd like to work with, it's important to have an online portfolio. So when I was, starting my blog and making my outdoor articles, I was essentially building an online brand and portfolio just by doing a few articles every week for myself. So that was in place. I had also kind of wrote for a couple, just as a guest post for a couple different businesses online, so that helped too. But that essentially gave me an online presence and an online brand. And then I was able to find clients through job boards originally. And then I'd send them a pitch, a very short, concise note about me, what I can do for them. And I'd include 3 of my best articles that were tailored to their interests. And then I'd offer them a free trial. Like, hey, I can write you a free article. Let me show you what I can do for you, and then we can talk business. And that worked really well. I landed one really good client right away. I landed a couple business-to-business clients, and then I wrote for a big company called Wide Open Spaces that helped get my name out there and get me really in the public eye.
So when you are putting together your portfolio, you need to have, at least 3 articles? Like, what would kind of be that minimum that you need to be able to say, this is what I've done?
So I definitely think a minimum of 3 quality articles to just put on your pitch or your letter to the company. That's very important. And it doesn't matter Like obviously the more of a bigger company you're writing for in your example, the better. But you can just have your blog posts. You can just have some blogs on Medium. That platform is a great one where it looks nice. Anything like that where you have digital content out there is important. And I would say a minimum of 3, the more the better. The more you put in your portfolio, the better. But for that initial email, you really just want a short, concise, telling them what you can do for them, and just have 3 high quality or 2 high quality articles. That's my recommendation.
And links to those or attachments to things? Links. Okay.
Absolutely. Links. I was told by a couple people I reached out to, never put downloads in there because there can be spam, all these things they're worried about. Links to your digital work.
Perfect. And you're keeping it all about them, not all about you in the pitch.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that as much as you give them a brief overview of your experience, what's most important is what you can do for them and how you can make money for them or bring people to them. That's what they're after when they're hiring you. And you have to make sure that you explain that in a couple sentences, how you're going to be beneficial.
And she also mentioned medium.com. And I think that's really good for a lot of people who aren't familiar with that. I'm very newly familiar with that. And that can be, sounds like a really great place to kind of get your feet wet and establish yourself. So check that out if you want to get more traction as a blogger. So that was kind of how you started monetizing and getting some writing clients. But let's talk a little bit about the blog. So if you are a brand new blogger and you want to get viewers, what are the first things that you should do?
So one of the first things, obviously, is you set up your website, and you can do that I recommend doing it through a better platform, like do WordPress.org, and there's lots of tutorials out there, or through like a Squarespace where you have a lot of control of your site. And then I recommend getting some high quality articles, and then really finding your social media presence. And the one I recommend the most, if you're a woman or a man, but you're anything in the feminine area, Pinterest. Like anything from social media to cooking, cleaning, organization, all that stuff does super well on Pinterest, and you can get a lot of traffic very fast. And it's one of the most popular platforms for bloggers in general. And that's essentially what Pinterest is a bunch of blogs.
Yeah. And I'm also going to recommend, because I've gone to Nicole's site and I know she has, and I've gone to her Pinterest too, and I know that she has blogs up about how to get like what you need to know for Pinterest, because there are very specific dimensions and a lot of things that are specific to that channel. And I think that she has some good tips for you there. So we'll talk a little bit later about that. So what I want to know is, all right, so you have your full-time job and you have this growing blog. You're starting to get some clients that you're working with. First of all, how are you doing all of that? And then how did you go from that to just saying, I'm going to take the plunge, I'm going to do this and go full out?
Yeah, so it was difficult, very, very difficult, trying to do, like we mentioned, my job where I was on the road a lot, and then I was also trying to finish my master's degree. It got to be a lot. So what I would do is whenever I had a free chance, instead of watching television, I would actually go into my office and I would set a timer, and I would just see how 30 minutes would go, and then I'd decide, should I keep writing, or am I tired, do I need my rest? And most of the time, 30 minutes turned into 3 or 4 hours. So you can get a lot done if you do that, and you kind of force yourself initially to just start. And then after doing that for a while, I obviously was overwhelmed and exhausted. So I had to make a choice. And luckily, my husband and I were kind of prepared for this financially. So if you guys, I always recommend to new people, like, make sure that it's not going to be overly stressful for you. Be ready to some degree, and we were. And I chose to just kind of pursue this as a business and see where it goes. So it was a very exciting moment, but I needed to pick something because, when you're working in school and then working late at night, it gets to be overwhelming and exhausting. So I had to make a choice, and I did. And I'm glad I made the choice I did.
And how long have you been full-time?
So I've been full-time for about 3 months now. So it hasn't been a tremendous amount of time, but I've loved all 3 months. I've been working at this though for significantly longer. Just kind of, like I said, starting, and the pieces start coming together slowly over time to get to where I could actually leave my full-time job and just pursue this.
When did you start your blog? Just, very beginnings.
So I started thinking about blogging probably a couple of years ago, and then I started playing around maybe a year and a half ago, just kind of come up with a website and then redo it, come up with a website and redo it. So those were, I count them, but I don't. Like, I was learning, but I wasn't going anywhere with it.
Yeah.
And then I really just established NicoleStone.com, I don't know, in the last 3 months, really, where I kind of branded down and said, this is the business. I'll do my outdoor separate. Like, I came up with a real business plan.
So I think that, just for people who are out there who feel like, oh, I'm just starting. Should I be expecting to do this in 3 months? And no, I think anyone would tell you it takes a while to experiment. So don't beat yourself up about letting yourself have that time. She took a year and a half, and that's not at all unusual, because you want to give yourself the most successful start so that when you do start, you're not just figuring things out. And she gave herself, I think that was a really smart plan, that you were going to give yourself, while you had that full-time job, time to, like you said, create a website, change it up, try new things in a kind of a safe environment. So
exactly.
So I think that's a really good approach. What has been either the biggest struggle or the biggest surprise to going full-time? That could be mindset, that could be just stuff that's happening, that could be whatever. What has it been for you?
Definitely prioritizing has been, I always figured I was great at prioritizing and always doing what should be best. At my old job, I was good at that. Everything got done. When you're your own boss, the most difficult part is really taking your huge to-do list, because it never ends, and then finding that where your time is best to be invested, because you're never going to get through everything, and it's up to you to decide this is ultimately what needs to get done today. That's been a challenge at times. And then the other thing is just setting boundaries. Like, if people want to hang out in the middle of the day or whenever your most productive time is, you have to be the boss of yourself and say no. Because at a regular job, you aren't going to be able to get up anytime you want and, go shopping. Like, it doesn't work that way. So those are the biggest challenges.
That can be hard, I think, with family and different things, is setting those boundaries when people don't understand. I feel like if they are not in that seat, in that position themselves, they're not, as much as they love you.
Yes, exactly.
They're not going to get it. So yeah, I agree that is difficult. And then the other is thinking, oh, I have all day. And I think the more discipline, and like you talked about with timers and things, I am a big lover of using timers to do everything. So yeah, I think it's that mindset is such a big, big component to being an entrepreneur. So what's the most exciting thing or the highest high you've had so far in your experience?
So as a blogger, you have lots of highs and you have lots of lows. But I would say the biggest high, like that I was just thrilled, was making my first affiliate sale. That, getting clients is exciting, getting traffic is exciting. But when you make that money where you were the one that figured it out and did all the work, and it's not a service, it's like something you figured out and you made this conversion, it's like you feel successful for that moment. It's like, oh, I made it. That's probably my highest high so far with my business.
And how did you go about starting to find affiliates, and what would you recommend to people who want to pursue monetizing their blog that way?
So affiliate marketing, if you aren't familiar, is where you get a commission for recommending products. So if you, for example, I really enjoy a couple of blogging courses that have helped me. I recommend them to my readers because I believe that they will help them as well. And then for every sale they make through my website, I get a commission. And so it's a really passive way to make money. To do this, it's pretty simple. All you need is to find a couple companies you like, if you prefer companies or products, or if you like a few courses, find the person who made the course and just ask for a link. For big companies like I am for Cabela's and stuff like that, all you have to do is Google it and it'll bring you to the company that's managing their affiliates, and you apply. Now, to be accepted is where it can get more challenging. You do have to show an online presence most of the time. So that means you do need to have a blog, or you do need to have quite a few social media followers on some platforms to show that you're going to, follow through. But that's it. It's very easy. The application is usually just telling them what you're going to do for them, filling out some basic like name, your website, your social media platform, and you get accepted. And then it's up to you to make a blog post on that, or to make a video and to explain why you love that product. I think that helps explain it.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. So when you talked about Pinterest and how that really helped grow your blog, is there anything like outside of Pinterest that when you're just getting started are great places to start getting those viewers to your blog so that you can start pitching for affiliates and different, to write for different companies and things?
Absolutely. So if there is a favorite social media platform you always have that you can promote to. So like one of the great things about Instagram, it has the swipe feature. I think it's if you have 10,000 followers, you can send a video, and then if they swipe, it brings you to the website. So that's a great one if like Instagram's your thing. Facebook, just even leveraging your personal friends on Facebook, that's a great thing. Like you can just post it to your friends and family. I mean, they should be your biggest audience, and that really helps initially. And then outside of just your favorite social media platforms, you can guest post for different companies will take free guest posts. All you have to do is, sign up on their website. Like Lifehack is an example. I've done stuff for them. There's Forbes, the Huffington Post, anywhere where you can just donate some time, write an article, and throw your name on it. That helps drive traffic. You can do things like we already mentioned, Medium. There's all sorts of platforms like that where you can repurpose your content for viewers. And then there's obviously Google in general. The thing with Google is there's a lot of websites that rank, right? Like everybody's on Google. So ranking can be difficult for new bloggers because your domain is just so new. Like you're just not in the system yet. So most people, I say, don't expect any real Google traffic for a while. That's why you really need to leverage your social media, whichever ones it may be.
And then I think I forgot to ask, you had mentioned early on when you were starting to find companies for writing that you would go to different like ProBlogger and like what are some examples of places people can go to even look for which companies to approach and who a contact might be at that company? What are some websites that they could go to start looking for those?
So ProBlogger is a great one. So if you guys are just looking to kind of pitch to a company that is asking to hire, then I always recommend job boards like Freelancer, ProBlogger. There's Cantina, which is a little more expensive, but those ones are really good examples of where you can find work. And if you Google them, you Google job boards for freelance writers, there's tons. There's also content mills like Upwork and stuff like that you guys have heard of. They don't pay very well, but I know plenty of freelance writers who started off with hardly any pay, and then they built their way up so they could demand more, and they found companies like that. N-Dash, I want to throw that one out there. Like that's where companies are just in this collection and you pitch to them. You just raw pitch to them. They have a submission form, which makes it easy. So that's a good example.
How are you spelling that?
Huh?
How are you spelling that? M-dash, N-dash? How are you spelling that?
So it's N-D-A-S-H.
.com.
That's a great one to try. And then there's also the whole just pitching to companies you're interested in. So my last client, I just found them online. I found an old contact from I think they were asking for help a couple years ago. Found that contact and I pitched to them, just said, hey, I really think we'd work good together. I think I can help you. Like we talked about, I sent them the template. And we talked back and forth for a little while, and then I get work from them too now. So stuff like that can work too. Just Google your favorite companies, find a marketing person or an editor, and just shoot them an email. You'd be
Perfect.
surprised.
Well, you've given a ton of excellent tips. Is there anything else that you wanted to, any other tips or anything else that you wanted to share?
So my biggest tip, I do want to share this, is just start. You're not going to be perfect at anything. Just start. Like, start writing articles wherever you can. Just once you start, you learn as you go, and then you start doing more and more, and you become better and better. But everybody who does this starts somewhere, and I guarantee you they're probably not super proud of the work they did at first, but that's how they got to where they are now. So just, it's really starting and not dreaming, just starting.
Excellent, excellent advice. Well, you guys, I'm going to have links below to her website, NicoleStone.com. Check her out on Pinterest. We're also going to have a special download for you guys with some of her favorites. You can tell them a little bit about what they're going to find in that.
So I have a download for you guys where it really just has all my favorite courses, free tools, websites that I recommend using, and then also things like Facebook groups where you can meet people and get your content out there, a list of Pinterest group boards, and Tailwind tribes, which you can learn more about on my website. They're all really great ways to start building traffic to your site and start blogging.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate your time and hope that you guys got some great tips today. Thanks a lot.